This video is to show you the JHM shift knobs for the B5 Audi platform threaded knob. It would probably fit any other Audi with the threaded knob with a 12 by 1.5 thread pattern. Just maybe some minor adjustments with your boot would have to do. What we have here first is we have the knob. This is the aluminum model with the knurl, and it's got the JHM logo. We got other patterns, 6-speed, 5-speed. We make them out of Delrin black. We paint these different colors. Check our website for details. So we got the knob, and when you get the knob from us, we're going to be pre-assembled with this grub screw, and this grub screw is going to be sitting inside of the shift knob. The purpose of this grub screw is for you to adjust the knob. You're thinking, okay, I screw my knob on, what if the 6-speed pattern doesn't line up or the JHM doesn't line up and it's crooked? Well, that's the whole point of this grub screw, is to get it, you can play with the height of this grub screw, very, very small movements, and get the knob perfectly straight. Another thing we have with our kit for the shift knob is we're going to give you a small tube of low strength Loctite. You may or may not want to use this. We're giving this to you as an option. Once you get everything set and locked down, the low strength, just a little dab of it will just help it from breaking free on its own a little easier. But it is low strength, so it should not be hard to get off. Don't load it up. Just definitely a little dab, but we'll give you a little capsule of that. We're also going to give you this little spacer, and what this spacer is for is once you install the shift knob, if the boot is sitting down and it has a gap, maybe you cut it down inside too much, or depending on your shifter, maybe you're bringing the knob really high based on how you adjusted the grub screw, you can play with the height of this. What you'll find with this spacer is if it's too thick, you can just go down the center. It's just plastic with a hacksaw, cut it in half, grind it down. What you'll find with a JHM shifter, if you have a JHM shifter, is it will sit right here, but you can actually, if you tighten it up tight, it'll actually kind of bite onto the larger shaft and make it really tight fit. It's up to you though how you want to do it. That's just for a final cosmetic fitment. Make sure everybody's shifter and shift knob and boot look really nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and run this down. You got to get it down about 3/4 of an inch to get the knob on all the way. Yeah, that's probably about right. And then you go ahead and screw it on. And if you see, it stops like right there. So it's off. So that means I got to turn it about 90 degrees. And I didn't run it down very far. I should probably go down a little further. One thing you got to remember, if you go down too far, what happens is then the threads are just bottoming out, down here on the base. So what happens is you have no adjustment. So I'm going to run this down, I think probably a full turn and a quarter. That way the knob goes down deeper into the car. Okay, now we're basically upside down. So that means I got to go about 180 degrees. The JHM is upside down. So if I want it to, I can either back it out or screw it in that amount. So I just go with the 6mm, and I just going to go 180 degrees and then see what happens. And like I said, if you go too deep with the grub screw, it's going to be a little off. So now it's just a hair crooked this way. So now I got to basically loosen it a tiny bit, bringing the grub screw down so it bites the end of the shaft quicker. So I'm just going to stick that in there and go a little bit. So it just takes a little patience though, but once you got it right, there we go. Now it's square, it's straight. You look, there's a little slop in the boot on mine, so at this point I'm going to loosen up the knob. I'm going to throw my spacer down there and see how it lines up with the spacer. Like I said, the spacer may be too thick. If it's too thick at that point, what you want to do is you want to cut it down. And you can see like it's starting to grab on the boot, but on a JHM shifter it can actually push past that shaft, and you can just get a really tight fit by just keeping on running this thing down. And then now, yeah, it's really tight. Another shifter you're probably going to have to play, with cutting it. And like I said, if it's stock, you probably won't have to do anything. So this is just to help those who cut down the inner piece and got a different shaft in there and want to play with the height. So it's nice and tight fitting, it's straight, and at this point, if you wanted to use that low strength Loctite, you would unscrew it one last time, put a small dab on the threads, and then run it down and let it set up for an hour or two. and then that way at least you won't accidentally pull it free. But that's it. That's all about the JHM shift knob for the B5 chassis with the 12mm by 1.5 thread. And like I said, it'll probably fit some older Audis with a 12mm by 1.5 thread as well.